Page 1 and 2. We read one time in English, one time in Vietnamese, one time in Tibetan, 1 and 2. Then mandala offering, written Tibetan.
Bây giờ mình tụng tháng số 1, tháng số 2, một lần tiếng Anh, một lần tiếng Việt, một lần tiếng có người để quên điện thoại, xin làm ơn vui lòng tắt điện thoại, chuyển qua cái chế độ room, đừng có để cho nó reng. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu tụng. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest assembly, until I am enlightened, I take refuge from the virtuous merits that I collect by practicing giving and other perfections. May I attain the state of a Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings not be separated from the happiness that is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and hatred for those held close and distant. Cho đến khi đạt đến giác ngộ, đệ tử xin quy y Tam Bảo, Phật, Pháp và Tăng, nương nhờ công đức hạnh bố thí ba la mật và các ba la mật ác, đệ tử xin nguyện đạt đến giác ngộ để cứu độ mọi chúng sinh. Xin nguyện cho mọi chúng sinh an lành và tạo nhân để được an vui. Xin nguyện cho mọi chúng sinh giải thoát khỏi khổ đau và tiêu trừ các nhân tạo khổ đau. Xin nguyện cho mọi chúng sinh không lìa an vui, tức là không phải chịu khổ đau. Xin nguyện cho mọi chúng sinh an trụ trong hành xả, không chấp thủ và sân hận đối với những chúng sinh chấp thủ xa gần. Sangye cho tăng cho kia cho nam lang chẳng cho ma du đani kiếp su chi đa ge chư so ge be so nam ge đô la ben chư sang ge du ba sho Sam chen tam chen dewa tăng dewe chu tăng nem ba chu chi Sam chen tam chen du ngao tăng du ngao chi chu tăng dewa chu Sam chen tam chen du ngao me be dewa tăng mi dewa chu chi Sam chen tam chen ye ren cha tăng mi tăng dewe Nyom la ne ba chu chi.
Okay, now we do the mandala offering in Tibetan, and then when I give the signal, you get ready. Okay, do the three prostration, and then you get ready. Okay, Geshe-ma and somebody help.
Sorry, I'll help.
Yeah. Okay.
Siko and Sarah go.
Okay, so the beginning, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, Sarah and Siko ready. Chola and Three and appears. Shingam bewa sho om benza bume ahu onjen se ke sa she om benza reke ahu chejare koyo ke kove eso rege warera shan leva po Zambulin no palanche Jandang Ayudan Lipa Ayatang Ayab Shen Yenden Dan Lam Jojo Dramin Yendan Dramin Yengeda Rinpoche Rewo Pasan Geshe Deje Pa Meme Pa Ye Loto Kolo Rinpoche No Pumba No. Oh, yeah, Chetonga Batum Sung. The Retan, the Shin, no let her. Cái nhẹ bà thả đi xăm xì nhẹ gần chiều là nằm cái lò đó ra cái đi xăm xì chỉ đang cho đừng bị cho sinh được rồi chứ nhân dân còn tự nhiên buồn lắm nhân dân nghe cho nhầm nên thì ta sẽ ăn được cái giá trị trong chỉ sống bà thả rồi mà ra được thấp để về milu đi sống đó ra 대화 기회당 저거 최초발라 대화 엄바 네 튕기 삼마탄데 소소시아는 저대 여봐 엔조르시라 에텐데스 라조 톱데 벨레텐데 숨겨라 에텐데 이신 노래라 이시기 노부 가또 친분만 보내 하바데스 보라 이신 노부서는 산지가 된 시럽인데 네 노비를 때문에 일을 소함을 답시는 되게 대구 내면을 서고 뭔가 용대 리시시거라 이만 미선은 되게 그랬어 되게 신 노블을 소화담나 세디 나야 통해 공연을 서고 뭔가 나부 무슨 소파 되어래셔라 이마도서 교화치면 된제 바다미 고바 도야다 아르바다 탐지지 못하게 신 노블 소화담이 아요 말해셔라 근데 라즈 밀린데 소소로 비주하고 제통다 요아치만에 손을 맞으면서 바다미 요아 상부들라 이때라네 최세세 원래 엔도 타르바 네 사원의 영매가 봐 내가 영매가 라와메 반도아들 분돌레션이 요아라메가 봐 리트네 에사 근데 나치부 타르바 타바 마이 바 심제 탐제기 좁동게 그것이 안돼 근데 이제 차에 돈다야 안 되네 그래 연대 날이나 산제지 고가 좀 심지어 가글이야 엔도체 뭐 이렇게 요래서 그라 야
So here, as it is said by the great Je-ma Tsongkhapa, this life that we have of freedoms and opportunities is more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel. So this is something that is quite difficult to find and easily lost. It's just momentary, kind of like a flash of lightning. So recognizing this, we should turn away the activities of this life as we would like winnowing chaff from the grain, and instead strive to take its essence on a daily basis. And he says, I, a yogi, practiced in this way. You who desire liberation should do likewise. So here, this kind of life that we have right now has all of the sort of freedom to be able to practice the Dharma. And we have all of the kind of opportunities or endowments that are necessary in order to accomplish our aims. So this is something that is more precious than, say, a wish-fulfilling jewel. Like, say, if you had something with the Buddha's relics inside of it, and you were to make supplications to that, make requests, it could turn away conditions of this life, like having a famine or a drought or something that is just in this life. A wish-fulfilling jewel has that capacity to bring us the kind of needed things of this life. But as far as a future life, say being able to take a rebirth as a human or a god, the wish-fulfilling jewel doesn't have that capacity. But we, if we use this life well right now, we can achieve a good rebirth in the future. We can achieve the kind of birth that allows us to continue to practice the Dharma, such that eventually we can get rid of the root of suffering so that we no longer have to experience it at all. By removing that kind of root of our afflictions, we are able to get rid of this cycle of taking rebirth powerlessly. And not only that, if we use this body well, we can not only just achieve our own liberation, but also strive for that state that has achieved all good qualities and removed all faults, the state of Buddhahood, wherein we are able to really benefit others fully. We're able to teach them what it is that they should adopt and what they should abandon. And so, with that kind of attitude, each quality we try to obtain and each fault that we get rid of, if we do so with that kind of attitude, we will really make our life meaningful, as this verse by Je-lama Tsongkhapa says. So this is the kind of attitude that we should take for listening to the Dharma, for hearing the teachings.
cho vô số chúng sinh, giải trừ những khổ đau cho chúng sinh và đạt được với vị Phật.
Được rồi. Thì xin nói là để ra nhiều tài liệu sản sinh sẽ nhiều cao hơn cái vật đó. Rằng chúng mình lưu lại thì ta để là một cái nhiều vật sản cái vật đấy. Cho ngắm mà xem là cho bằng phép bắt trụ đó. Cho mang bút sa này nè, anh ấy làm bắt đó. Rồi cái vật để chúng để trên ngay chỗ ta để milik để chơi thành chơi cái vật mà. Chúng ta cái mấy bên chơi cái mà đó. Cái đó coi chuyện đi. Nhiều cao sĩ bút chơi này, chụp cao sĩ bút chơi này ta đến rồi để xong rồi đó. Anh chơi đến nhiều vật sinh được cả. If you do to what you want, I think the near cow, I shall be the top, the digit topic of the Lia. To survey. At the nation, no land, the ring of a terrorism. Near gun, jiggle, and Namgelo. A near cow, Yenayati. You don't put your tank capacity and get in a yard, Tragroa. The leisure church in a carcinal, your right to the Marisona. Near cars, near Kabushida, of power. Nheka jigla top ka the top sa the temperature ye tung bu shibu te ye ne ya tra de re ma de se jigla la bo de so ra nheka jigla nam ge lo ta ras nam ge lo de ta ko ri shi ho mar to ana ko me ba ti se te ne e paru kap jigla lo chu sta ge ma to ye tung bu te ge ho ma ra ra nga ge jig du ra ko ji ye chu chi tu ta ke shen da ko ma re orang ngangi jiu dure ngaraje milite tawro ko ngangi kuran jiu dure ye dure ya tichal nye ga jiglas namge lo dan ras chude samshiro o tinde samlutane ro chude samti samlutan so so pomje samlutan ba chude samsi jiden chawa ko se sende chibu ngaraje meche de chuna shi chana sende ya jarwa Sago Nemela so penjo yon tapsi sede sende sae ko yoro ma chamado was ko yore ne je ko yore irmato tele lawa je ko kiche dress ya marwa ya da ko sende chigbu tandalia sende tato tengen ro ba ya chimbu shibu gemado samjil tam je mege de chi yo mar su bara arado choche na yo ngamala tame bare chimala tame bare yuring budere tanda nganzo chusen roa minalia ora ko chilet yora ne ha ka handu ne ye ko ko ni sin ro sha ro yan ke ke me to o tin du kas ye kan ji la nam ge lo da chu de sam sin ji den cha o chen de chi bu den da lia ye chen bu shi bu chi ji xie wa ni ti ko chen de pen jo tu ye tu le ti ko sa ko ne sa ari che go ne che o tin de che na ni ma du sang ga ra ye gen ji nam ge le chu de sam sin ji den cha o number cha sin to ji ne chen de da tu ye de chen de chi bu den da re ma to yin bu je je le ro ye ke yo ma re sang ga ra number se ne ru pa pa to se le mo se su ru to se tu ne pa pa to se lung le cha ge ra ne pa pa de ki chen ru de me ge de ra yin bu de de ra ti ki ye yo ra ti na shi che che chen de cha sha de chen de chi bu den da re de zo so zo re ma to ka ki ro sha yo ma ro chi ma pen je le pen ba che yo ma ti de ba chen de sam ji den cha ben ba cha wa se pakpa char dewa na shiri ku dawa ma saa dewa ma do ki dwe ke shima penche pendo yewe che ke yo ma rwa yunba chawa shindu toji de samlo kore yanda chen ti taa do tengen du che ni ti tonde walpe shewo je ikba saa kune saa kari che kune rwa ma rung dewa chi mile chawa che kune che pencho saa na digdu saa ti chibu tanda che ni ma dira chen ti taa do tengen di chi na de che wo rwa taa do tengen ke ma rwa ile shima taa ringa re yuzi maa den ruwa re jine chuze tago re shin lungpa chil te ne ti keche mu marwa nam yu taa to yu ringbu te se de keche kiro tewa shima de taa mea bari chira ye kabla so so le dunga me yuwa tanga tewa tuwe de keche wa chigo ra shu ne shi na oya chindi chikbu tanda liya ane chiri penju tuwe tanda tipa sa tewa shima rang le dunga yuwa tende shen ma dhiri sungo ra 소화 양답에 소화성과 메시지에 수답의 양답에 소화 양답에 nga 양답에 내 수수 수답의 양답에 채우랬어. 수수 깔래게 밀에 소화 마셔시 최단 tumba 미 농배 팀다 tumba 야부시 메시 야부시 내가 전에 수수 수답된 드레스 저기라 양답에 소화라. 아 마빈시 밀랭고고 다 지체데 메시지에 소화된 로그에 소화라. 이 패시지 싸는 거 소해전다 지요라. 근데 와서 근데 삼신 지대 작업은 미버시와 시도 도주네. 인제 군도 닝불렘바 그세 인다 찬스가 되이나야. 근데 지구에 돈다 많이 봐. 또 치마 편절로 쪼세. 근데 또 치마 미 제부 쪼데 또 치마로 와. 이나 챈들이야. 잘라서 봐 판버 좀 매지 야부시 깨는 챈들을 소소게 봐요라. 암베션에 어머르게와 빠도게와 타마게와서도 아제 손들이네. 바우션 아디션 알소데 최대 햄바다 대회 치도 송구라 대화수도 챈들 대화 연구를 강다 신상마 저와 지금으로 안에 대화 연구로 잠바스베터 정말 팽그레 오늘 자는 제부도 좋아치마 영화에 예도 송구라 어예 신디 삼진 지간 저 금버셔스네 이제 군도 닝불렘 받고서 다 담배추 닝불렘 그래서 내좀 내자 냠을 때다체 안돼 계자 제성과 바라니 게 냠을 텐데 시작해서 근데 동해에 타론 되게 결혼 속에 진주 속에 이제 냠을 시작을 해서 것도 와 한번 도쳤어.
So, here, as this verse says, the kind of life that we have right now is very difficult to obtain. It's not like it came about without any sort of a cause, but rather we had to, in the past, have abandoned harming others and benefited others, followed the Dharmic teachings in order to be able to gain such a life as we have, because this doesn't come about, again, without causes and conditions. And so we had to accumulate all of these in the past to be able to right now have this kind of life. But when we think about it, this is something that is quite easily lost, and it's sort of just momentary. We have it's kind of like a flash of lightning. We have this life right now, but we have cycled, we have continued within samsara since beginningless time, and we will continue to take rebirth. And so this is something that is not like stable and long lasting. We have this kind of sense normally that we will remain here forever. We have this sort of stable life, but rather this is something that is easily destroyed, is easily lost, sort of like the way that you have a dark night and lightning flashes, and for a moment everything is lit up, but then it's gone. And it doesn't need any other sort of cause or condition to come about for its destruction, for its perishing. But that's right there from the start. It's part of its nature, as it is with the life that we have right now. And so, thinking about this, meditating on this, and thinking about how precious this life is, how difficult to obtain, but how really short it is, it's not something that's going to remain forever. We should turn away from the activities of this life. I mean, we have to live, we have to sustain ourselves. We need to be able to have enough to eat, we need to be able to have clothing and so forth, but we don't need to have so much. We sort of, normally want more and more. No matter how much we have, we need to have more than that. And we think that this life is like this long and stable thing. But again, in the perspective of countless beginningless rebirths and future rebirths to come, this is just a momentary. It's not really going to last for very long. And so we have this sense that the activities of this life are so important, like gaining wealth or getting those good things. And we're willing to, say, engage in non-virtues in order to get this. We want to get those things. But really, those activities are meaningless. The sort of way like the chaff of the grain. When there's that skin on the grain, we normally like thresh it, pound it on the ground or something, and all of that sort of blows off. It's not substantial. It doesn't stay. There's no sort of essence in it that we can get nutrition out of. It's not useful. And so too are the kind of activities that are just for this life, that are just for the sake of enriching this life alone. We can't carry them with us. And we're not really going to be here for such a long time. If we had this life that were stable and long lasting and permanent, okay, then we would want to accumulate more things. But that's not really the case. This is kind of like a flash, a moment, and we're going to have to go to a future life. And so we shouldn't just do for this life alone, but rather as Buddhists, we need to think about that future, that long term that's coming after this life. And so this entails doing what we call right livelihood, engaging in the kinds of ways to sustain ourselves that don't involve harming others or doing things that are non-virtuous, negative. Like some people think that it's okay to cheat and deceive others and lie and so forth in order to get their profit, in order to get their gain. But really, when we think about it, all of that we might gain is not something we can carry with us, but our actions are what we will carry with us. So as this verse continues, it says that recognizing this, that those worldly activities are kind of like the chaff of the grain, we should strive day and night to take the essence of this life, to really think about our main goal is the future. And by doing virtuous actions, it is something that not only is it going to benefit our future lives, but it's something that's beneficial right now. We are happier, others are happier when we engage in virtue in this life. And it's not that that's our only goal, but we get that as sort of a byproduct. So here, recognizing this, striving to take the essence of this life, this is how Tsongkhapa himself, he says, I, a yogi, practiced like this, and you who desire liberation, who want to be free from suffering, should act likewise. We too should give up the kind of activities of just this life and really take up what is meaningful, particularly the Dharma.
Phải có chánh ngữ, chánh nghiệp, chánh mạng, vân vân. Tại vì nếu chúng ta sống đúng với bát chánh đạo thì chúng ta sống hợp với giáo pháp của Đức Phật, hợp với pháp luật, sống chân thành. Và bạn phải nỗ lực.
Cái cả đấy xin rồi milю tanda dinde tupti che gore so go na che tu gore se are sin nyawa yida tandu ro chil ke na ta nyawa yida shi ta nga chu ta ke o mare ite tandu ro chi ke yo na pa che yo mar do kola pa ke che ma che ge sam ta yo mare ti bun ke to shi ke ara zu pa she na she se ke yo ma ka ge che yo mar wa hande ji ke yo na ko de be la de ke na na mi che da chu ne pe sun sa bo lu pe sun sa bo jang go ko da ro che ma to 최제하다 집도 군용게 된데 통해 매버리시래 되어라. 이 시간 넘들이 아시에도 시래는 가밖에 맞게 하고 가라. 예지가 저렇게 하고 위험 말에. 근데 그거 저쪽에 된데 맨남이 쳐다죠. 이때 잡으려 와. 그래서 님이 메토드 시라디 근저도 시라 두르게 매 소시올로지 도서다에 된 리서치 네 내가 제시도 쳐야 되지도 컴버시라도 religion mambo yora ta logic ta ga yesa ta de samba ta de sa de mara ke logic da yo mare logic ka ni bi sum ge shi ge de nge na ta na ta de di mare ora ta ti ni ka so de ali ke na ko tin de o maro ne se sum mi se ro ti mi ji ku pe ti mi ji tempo tom ge to wa ye ma ye ro ji te ma to de che tu chi ni ju da chi de yo mare mi ti ya shu re de to 여와다 개바다 나와다 치와다 또 인바다 공에 여바다 소소 냥미 냥게 본데 요라 딱 공예반 중는 예반 중서 지어라 빨리 경 통나 경 망보 여장 소소 무슨 통데 요라 Or when you get home. So get when you do the window when they retire, some share, she in the Samulia, you are the Lela Yora. As a ras and the military or Hanashi Sangdar of church and you may remember. Country nation that the Kaka Hamburg member. And the Badu to Chashiland that I didn't be cook the street order. Somebody in the coach told that when Yanya Taya negative Pandros left his visitor. But I found room of Gracia, Sajaya Yara dress some Indico. Didn't Tawani Junior Sunguto Chujuko. Chutuvala Tawa, Kanga Hako, get Sanjay Temple. I read it, but cook up shivit some of the Sunguara. In the Tawani Junior target, Gummas and Akewala from Tiba Pantareso. There was some bull, Kewane, Kewasan or some dronia. When you muguge, and do tarva. This is a Majena Sungura. The Tawani Junior target Gumas, Dilla Luba Shamit and Dilla Mumbasha. So Luba. That Kuga, the Dilla Kuga Chioma, Resera. Like Joanga, the Chima some tangle into the Dilla Mumba Shamit. Dilla Gas. One day Lambasira. The Tawani Junior target Gumas and Dilla Luba Sham, Dilla Mumbasha. Ranga Luba, Resera. Rangaran Kuga Yeva Sambu Yeva the Kuga Peshim myself at all Sasara. Or in Dukarsor, I didn't believe Tobati. Achim Bushevochi in Bashik. Said the Chibu Magic at on the Torchu Yashiman Samgora. Said the Karchan and Vigategro. Kashaya or Kashet or Yabaka Mara. Visit the Gasira. Sayame, Toyame, Koyam Magic Collection and Calmera. Shed the Resira. Dukarsor. Said the Chibu Tundal Mata. Mr. Yabose. Yeah, Shinti Chibu member. Mamma Yabu Samlatani. Chuchu Purisum with wa. In the Tawani in the Tarke woman. Ilemong Basham within Dilla Lubasham, Rangaran Lubades. Rangaran go tangus to the Lusha. Now, what?
Mhm. So here, this kind of life that we have right now, this human rebirth, this is this kind of fortunate situation. If we look at, say, being born as a hell being or a hungry ghost, an animal, one of the lower realms. Now, we can set aside like hell beings and pretas, hungry ghosts. We can't necessarily see them directly. But even looking at animals, for example, they can't understand. They're not able to comprehend the Dharma. I mean, some of them have sort of nicer seeming lives, but they fear for their lives. They're eaten by others and so forth, and don't have the capacity to really be able to think about the Dharma. And then you could have like a long-lived God where they're in this kind of situation with all of this sort of pleasure and enjoyment. They enjoy this very blissful existence. And because they don't experience any suffering until the time of death, they don't think about doing the Dharma. They just enjoy the kind of things that they have. And we see like there are some people who say work enough to sustain themselves for a year and they'll just sort of coast on that. There are others who feel like I have to work for more and more. They may work for like 20, 30 years and they still feel like they need more and more to attain more. And so here, then there are those who say have attained really high levels of meditative stabilization. They have this ability to stay single pointedly focused and not be distracted by any other kinds of things. But because they are in that sort of meditative state, they don't have a thought of doing other things like renunciation or thinking about bodhicitta or emptiness. And so here we have, as a human, a really unique capacity to be able to actually feel renunciation. We experience various kinds of suffering. To feel renunciation, there has to be a place that you're renouncing, that you're wanting to get rid of. And our situation as a human is the easiest for creating change. Like when we see the kind of situation that we are in, when we recognize it, then we will want to get out of it. It's sort of like if a prisoner recognizes they're in prison and they see that they're suffering and they see the door open, they'll go for it. And so right now, while we we have this kind of good situation, this kind of good life, we should take advantage of it. As Shantideva has said, while we are in this kind of good existence, if we don't habituate ourselves to virtue, then what could be more deceptive than this? What could be stupider than that? If we don't take advantage of the kind of situation that we have while it's in our hands, and we allow ourselves to say fall into the lower realms, we don't make an effort at habituating ourselves, familiarizing ourselves with virtue, then in the future, how are we going to have that again? There could be nothing more sort of self-deceptive, nothing stupider. So while we have this life, we should think about doing things that are not just for our mere existence, just for sort of sustaining ourselves, but actually trying to change, trying to develop as a Dharma practitioner. Otherwise, it's the worst kind of deception that we could do, the worst kind of sort of delusion or stupidity that we could show is to not use the sort of state that we have now in order to benefit ourselves, not just in this life, but really with regards to the future, our future lives, and so forth.
Yếu lắm thì mới lo lắng. Thực trong cuộc sống của mình nó đâu có đến nỗi nào mà phải lo lắng nhiều về cái cuộc sống vật chất. Mà nhất nó chỉ cuộc đời người này ngắn ngủi, nên chúng ta không quá đặt nặng vào
Chita keshen bu mari chima keshen buri situ. Sentile lega che mogore che tawa su te sho se tesi yo mata. Moi chanju simba tsoli ya. Shen la pembe che do. Sori ba lo lob sungu doa. Sori ba lo ni shen ki negab gogo kangbe che do sungu doa. Negab goya saya kore, tunga kore, konya kore, tesa kore, kale meba che kora. Yesu kale yune che che do samlo kor togu marwa. Sanko shen la pendo che do. Sori ba lo lob gore sungu doa. 소저 강바 소야 되지 밀고 신고 따베 되 놀랍 그래 송도 아르티 챈달 팬도요로 와차주세 근데 게일게 다리 버스 간에 깨지셔야 돼 밀리 롭초제다 깨지셔야 돼 빼게 셔보라 우천주 가서 깨지 말로 저 샤나니 미니 마카리 탄다가 하고 마탄도 진짜 가자야 매대그라 고 미니 마키 개버서 가르가르셔도 계속 간가 하고야 지질 밖에 지셔야 된다 다리 벌로 버리성구다 Geshe-ma sikdo su tete. Daribu shenani chiji Geshe-ma ichi yaga sheya yor kanga sheya yordo. Daribu mena yomardo. Soriba daribu siro. Ene mela buri sungudwa. Mi negabi sobu tetanda. Se. Yuma imbe chuale kwe tandala. Mela lob sungudwa. Samlu tanga shena mela labia ta lega cheya kanga shenpele rugu yora. Shenle pembe. Simje tamje tewada tewe gyudan demba gyuji sikdo ngajo. Tewada tewe gyudu gyora. Saye toya kuya mene tewa yonga yomarwa. Indi sori bol lokore, dari bol lokore, soari bol lokore sungdo. Ine nangde ribo sero. Rike ne nga seti yungdo. Janju sembo tezo kanga lop sungora. Indi ko achiki tisigo nangba chaushi chewure. Sendi janjan shere ni chima geshe-ma geshe-ma mara siyo mara. Chimala pendo yunge manu geshe eni mesidi gesho siyo arba. Oti indu karsora. Oyo oti chisona.
So, therefore, we shouldn't, though, have this thought of like, well, we're saying that sustaining ourselves in the affairs of this life alone are not important. So I'm just not going to do anything. I'm supposed to think about the future. So I don't think I'll work or do anything at all. That's a very wrong sort of attitude, because we need to. It's encouraged that bodhisattvas should train in the 5 sciences. They should know things like the various crafts, being able to build houses and plant fields and so forth in order to be able to benefit others. I mean, if people are in dire straits or in desperate situations where they don't have food or clothing or housing, there's no way that they can develop in the Dharma. If we don't teach things like grammar and composition, how you read, how to understand various texts, to be able to pass down the kind of knowledge from one generation of scholars to the next, that's a great loss. So one needs to be knowledgeable in things like the arts of grammar and composition. And so, too, bodhisattvas are encouraged to study medicine in order to help others prevent the kind of conditions that lead to untimely death and so forth. All of these kinds of work are for the benefit of others. We say at the beginning in this prayer, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. Well, these are activities, works that go toward the causes of other sentient beings' happiness. They're having what their material needs met, or they're having their health, all of these kinds of things. And additionally, then the sort of inner sciences when it comes to the development of the mind and so forth. Bodhisattvas are encouraged to train in all of these, and because these are important for the happiness and benefit of other sentient beings. So we shouldn't think that these kinds of activities or work are totally worthless or not beneficial, but rather their goal, their objective is not just this life, and it's not just about us, but rather about trying to benefit others and for the benefit of future lives as well.
Chúng ta vẫn làm việc, vẫn kiếm tiền để giúp ích cho xã hội, cho cái vì mọi mọi người. Nhưng mà không phải là chúng ta không lo đời này.
참말을 벗은구도 참말을 벌로 그래서 참말을 벗어 미시에가 가가 템바 인지를 삼기와 말이지라 이제 좀 된데게 선구도 네 시에가 참말 견주 당분이네 템바 맞지 아세 응원에 레 말이 펜도도 모두 삼루다니 펜도도 삼는라 팀만에 요쇼 선구도 이 가르제는 선구에서는 나란주 르바게 했던다로와 미시에가 참마데 인지를 삼나니 노예 년가 와라 안데네 티 인거 전다 가르네 펜도 가르네 삼로 땅 거라 나란주 삼로 땅에 이 요래 남주 삼로 땅나 르바 야르 로네네 아데 인지 마디 간데네 삼비라 그 최 년게들레 르바던 덴바 거르스 남주던 덴바 또 장보 내게 가리나 삼게치 거르 땅보 응원에 티 아부도 와서 레미도 간데나 산소스 해서 마주 봐도 남산 이치 매진 게지 거래 남산 이치 제사는 노조에나 야가시나 도신 텐데게 요마르와 얘도 다시 벌로 말을 참말을 벌로 버려 주지 지지레서 티 가르제에 예고도 다 가래 가르펜도 요래 제제부라 제제나 어디 교생도 아무네 뛰레샤스 이 펜도 두시 냠니 치스 거라 이 멘도는 제고 말해서 보다 이 연안에 최신의 시에는 연계되게 보신 연계를 소를 내버시다 최 연계들로 소를 내버고 가둘 때 간데 이나 삼자 거를 당분에 때 연기에서 그 시에는 강가에 삼나 만디래 소수 남주 펠기 말이야 에요 말 근데 이나 삼자 거래 남주단 내게지 거를 르바 딱제 제신게 구요라 이 인데 간준데 다음에 셰두단데 르바 망보다 그래 르바 망보 이 많이 르바 딱제 셰디 티치요도 가셔야 돼서 생기셔야 돼 떠봤어야 밀레티 말이 되래서 이 때문에지 미션달에 저한테 말은 애디 gangen 있는데 말와 르바 당겨라 참말을 르바 주지 예마했다 요라 어딜래 로고 요라 아시세 상마 야부인불에 삼비와 말해 근데 딱제체 어떤 신뢰한테 소소냠리 생기고 요라 이리야 참말을 봐서 그래 주지대 하고 주지를 딱제 생기고 그래 근데 나들을 봐서 딱 계셔서 나들을 보라 소소 셈 뒤에 저거 제고 알아 셈 만드는 현대들의 신의 년가도 와 하고도 말아서 전부리 매서 애람 밤서도 아무네 미송게 지나오데 밀레네 그래서 쓰고 말아 밀레네 그래서 삼간주 대고로 신다 마데네 디그레 삼주 쓰고 알아 이 파조데서 수조데서 강가서네 이 강가 슈리탄 샤카지리 그 아서라 나들을 봐 미치솔래 템바게 네버 메싱게 삼로 삼부도 거래스 나들을 벌로라 Nando Ribolo Sim Dilbuchi at the Lupra. Sim Shivarana, she mission that Chibaresa. Shenda Ra, the one nation that on the Varesa. Radung him in the Shan and the Varesa. This is some Kona Pingra. Sosomado Shenda Kanga Sato in Besoraje. Parichana, Jonas, can't do singers to the Samtagranaja. Into Yomara, but into Casora. Now do report Kuyara. That Mandushima.
So, likewise, it's important for us to train our mind in logic and reasoning and valid cognition. When we hear teachings, we shouldn't just accept whatever is said, sort of like without thinking about it, like, oh, yeah, that's it, that's it, that's it. But rather, we need to develop our own kind of intellectual faculty, our own investigative faculty, and develop that through reasoning. So this is something where we need to develop. I mean, as the Buddha has said, that you shouldn't just accept everything right off the bat, but rather should have the capacity to think about, is this logical? Is this right? And in doing so, in thinking about and reasoning through things, we develop our own sort of capacity for thinking, our own sort of investigative capability. And so it is our intellect. We're trying to develop this. When we approach the teachings, it said that we should have a kind of inquisitive mind. It's something where it should be unbiased, in that we're not going in just thinking, oh, yeah, this is how everything is, and you're either going to accept whatever is said or not accept it, but have this sort of open and questioning, inquisitive kind of thing. Is this reasonable? Is this logical? And it should be open and also sort of curious. We use our own kind of reasoning to investigate. Oh, is this how it is? Is this what is actually the case? Do I see that this is true or this is false? We need to develop that for ourselves. And this is done through learning about valid cognition and reasoning. And so here, that kind of again, we're not just sort of like accepting everything that is said to us. That's not the point of doing this. We can fall into those kind of thinking like, oh, yeah, I know that everything this person says is right. That's not how it's supposed to be. We need to develop our kind of own ability to investigate. And then there is the kind of science of mind, of that sort of inner science. And this is really the most crucial one. We need to work on our own kind of minds, because this is really crucial for all of our survival. I mean, for example, we have the capacity in atom bombs to basically destroy the entire world, and we didn't necessarily create those with the thought of self-destruction, but rather thinking about protecting, oh, this side, I'm going to go bomb over there. Well, if we kill everybody over there that or try to, they're going to try to sort of retaliate back. We need to work on our own capacity for recognizing the humanity of others, actually developing that kind of goodness and kindness of mind, training our minds so that we don't look out at other sentient beings as if they're just sort of like rocks and stones and have no feelings, but recognize that they too want to experience happiness and don't want to suffer just like we do. So in this way, bodhisattvas are encouraged to train in all of the various kinds of sciences, including the kind of valid cognition and reasoning. How do we know what is true or not true based upon our own intellectual faculties, as well as the really important inner science of working with our mind, developing our mind, understanding what is beneficial and harmful, and recognizing the capacity of others to suffer and feel happiness.
Nội minh là nội điển, chúng ta học Phật pháp. Tại vì nội minh nó có khả năng để giúp cho con người để điều phục bản thân của mình. Nếu không có điều phục bản thân của mình thì chúng ta sẽ tranh hơn thua. Chúng ta
다 던다 단다 가르쳐 그러시되 최대 시거든. 요 시에도 야 최대 수수 내가 제도 최를 줄에도 Chanju Simba Ribbe Nangal Logure, so the Tisungudwa, Ngarazu Chanju Simba Mana, Susu Legacy Chiora, Chizo Panto, Shidu Legacy Chiora, Laja Lingi subject, Kiwa May some Tengu Marwa, Laja Len Madokala Saura, Alasaya Korwa, in Sambute Mardo, Umbakora Losechi Pichera. In a collega Chiete, Chana Pembe Legacy in the Mancha, Asam Namdache, Chana Pengi, some Legacy, the Chana Pengi, some Chandal Pengade, some Mill Pengade, Chisel Pengade, some Samlutani Chevura. It chose Cure Tambudel Society Legacy, some good cheche, Parsura. Milli Pendo Chig, some Samlutan to not teach you to your Kiwari. What did you do that Karsura Ganso? Nimbu Lemba Cruz and Nimbutil Rambrita Sumbroa. And Nimbutambu the Karesana, Yoachima. Jebuzo de Lada Me Kovaya Wojit Vetunda. Ndula so one Magi Tundalia. Shanla, Luma Yesum Jikone, Shanla Tsawapa. Shanla Chinu Pemba to it. And I'm going to learn by legacy the Pemba to Gyoda. And Pendochi Yor. Or Kunu Samutashana, Pembade. In the Nego Mundo Lada Me Kovato Vechedo. Sendile Ranki, Shanki, Namiki Vechedo. Sawabamba. Susu Namine, Susu Chizo Desert and go to Wilsongudwa. Jambadan Zawa Dan said to the time. Shanla Chawapa, Chini Pemba Truna. Or Tiniri Mizina Samutana, Kawachimanga, so Kawaka, Mother Me, Kawa to Guiora, to the Sagiora, Itambu de Redo, Tingazuhakura, Mikuachuhakura, in Doctor Kawachuora, or Tire. So Chiba, so Jovia, Majimba Lemba Pani, Sosupa, Robachetun the chair, or the Mikuachu Kawachuora, and Butira. Nibody had a military Nayako. Yason la tude, Yaburete, and do Tewachimaris to me Mambuyora. Mille to me Mambudoa, Tewakawa now Chivala Soba to me Coapa something to me Mambuyore. Uncle Yore. I shall nail to me, you good Kashel Shelu, Kashel Tanda Yungora. All I guess how you call Ke na chi to me Mambuya, you touch that, the boy Chiniri. Into me Pogwetambo was to me Shirida Sorva. This on that Tarbase to Yugora. But Indico, all at Tendo Tare Tandalia. Yomo Bangora. Chagna, Ondo, Naget, and Tradoda. At dinner and as they said, Tame, Tombani said over. Tangzin said, we use our derva. Anga, some round, other round, and I said the kitchen bushable change. A tea in the tongue, I deal never shed an ality imagination, carry in any single Anga Yungdua. It's our ding and zingy yores, and around something I say some shukshan beers. You tell me about Tombani, sitting the Kiran Sabanashing at the Lego Marada. You come gora. It combines Chabade, Shinja shukshan with the new lure. On the new lure. Shall never get to the new lure. Numo new time, the Tarbecular lure, merely 10 to Tarbeculia. Ondunga get Trato and dress him, said Yorwa. Zangarazu Chemo Shara Rami gives a meme gives her and the chair with the check where gave Mara. Susan Mrs. Sweat and the Quake Mara. But it never did Tarwato Beshid. Rory to long Kichi Rama, Kichi Chene, Yawakawa now Tower Sobet, Merama, Young Gubatili Tayet and Dalia. I may be Tombanida. Ondo down like it and Chakta. Eating chat and eat a drag on him Siduangarat. What did it? Tarwatoet, that anybody, you would drink his shoes. Tamatikare Ranchibu Tarwato, my boss, Simjan Tamje. That drew to get a chebu, some give it. Homa Mabana, so catch a shit, Thunderbird, you a mother, you hack your mother. Up in Norsha, some look or Norsha, some give it. I got so catch a shit, Ranchib and Shayardo. Yet the Busagura around and the quiet, you have the combination and never care the Kanga Yungura, Trado, dress and never Kanga Yungura. Chato Chigwake, your mother. So Yabuji me, Yabuchena. Oh, Yabudo, Yabushidan do not dinner she to me, Yabudo Asena. Yawade do, Trado Rigmara. A cotton do not in the Chusana, couldn't dress him to do. For how in a Maga chet Yungura. lobso yabu chigdo ya oshidari yabu ndiga sam jesiraje na kone shi chetun yabu dwasana temutse ne tawarwa ko pe luse yabu dwasa na kone shi chetun yabu dwasamna ikwe kewa mara kewa dukdwa nako tezirante mebe suwade kaze nyurdana harba tobe chulu wara koye tongele tendo tarbe chulu wara tezurere sebare komna hado chi nyurdana 와 콘도치 뉴르타나 하르바게 시초교래 인데 든데시야 찍바드마서 겸니안도 오르면서 니마지 톱티칼레 하르바 톱상 게시야지요 마라 어디리 니바테 타마데 가저 심제 탐제 대화다 대외교단 시기도 심제 탐제 동해대 동해교단 심제 탐제 대화다 대외교단 된 거래 동해다 동해교 착당을서 와서 되고래 동해 매배 대화다 면도서도 띠 가와 재미들어 동해 매배 야가지 톱도 어디가 가서 가와 검거래 동해 제시도 어디도 동해 대로시나 삼고래 동해 마주나 삼고 기부여나 삼고라 가라도 동해서도 양인지 범서대 마부러서 삼로고 띠 마르다 상마 거기 상마를 땅에 요라 술래 두고 마주나 삼고라 나가 주나 삼 동해다 대들을 써와서라 야와다 nem바 주제스도 가와들어 가와다 텐도 잠바드스라 네 이런 차단 시도자 땅념도 시거라 다시 미리 꼭지를 지를 칠루 지를 마마지 에시아를 제주를 미카부를 나불 제제 마부세요라 이렇게 말아 미카 안 같이 버려 어디 삼다고라 여다 대회 주는데 뭐 동해 매배 대화다 맨저 주지도 가와들어 가와체매 이절이 야가지도는 가와 공부를 거라 그 강에 매배체 동해 매배 대화 진도나 언제가 그 벤저 프리즘 사본도 와서 서부 탐부도 와서 그 남미 삼아